good morning. It is July the 20th, 2026, and straight from the highly caffeinated studio, this is According to Willie B, and I, with a, let's call it a half vocal voice, will be your host for the next half hour. I do apologize for last week that we missed. I was not able to do any of the 3 podcasts last week. My voice was just not going to be up for it. It's still a little iffy today. I think I can pretty much keep the coughs down, but I just don't have the volume of voice. So good thing we have editing and we can do a little editing and maybe get that voice volume up a little bit to help out. Other than that, we're going to go forward. We're going to dig into this because today I've got a question. If the economy is so bad, who is filling up Italy and Rome? Oh, I'm telling you, this question, I turn on the news at night and the economy is terrible. People are struggling. Inflation, interest rates, credit card debt, everybody's broke. Then I pull up YouTubes of Rome and Venice and Italy, and it looks like half the planet decided to meet at the Trevi Fountain, and they forgot to tell us about it. So I'm thinking, did everybody win the lottery except us? Seriously. But it's a serious question. It's like these, like Rome, Italy, Venice, those are bucket list trips. Those are once in a lifetime. So if that's the case, how are these places this crowded? So because we have a trip going there this fall, I started doing some digging to find out, is there something that I don't know? Did I not get that memo? So what surprised me is that Italy is not slowing down. It's exploding. April alone welcomed over 10 million visitors. Airports are setting records. International travel is climbing with no delay in sight. Italy is now one of the top vacation destinations on Earth. On Earth. But how? That's the thing I want to know. Here's the first thing I realized. We all think that everybody's traveling. They're not. We are seeing the people who are traveling. That's a huge difference. And why are we seeing it? I'll get more into that in just a minute. But here's a huge difference. 8 billion people with a B live on this planet. So it only takes a tiny percentage of those people deciding that this is the year before all of a sudden Rome feels like Black Friday at Walmart, and we know what that looks like. So there's the bucket list because, Rome is not Myrtle Beach. Venice is not your annual trip to the mountains. People save for years, sometimes decades for this vacation. This is not your, honey, let's go to Rome because the flights are 10% off. No, this is, I've dreamed about standing in front of the Colosseum since I was 12. Those are 2 completely different trips. But I will tell you that, like for us, to be able to take this trip, you have to prioritize. You have to cut other things out. While your neighbors and your friends are going to the movies 2 or 3 times a month, or maybe they're going to the beach every weekend, or they're going to the mountains every weekend. You see where this is going. And if you took their family budget and you extracted those dollar amounts that they're spending on just these little weekend extravaganzas, and you add it up and you take that over 12 months, all of a sudden you've got a chunk to go towards going on one of these bucket list trips. But you also got to figure that the other reason that they're exploding is because what did we just talk about the other day is about how the cruise industry is exploding, right? So think about these ships are getting bigger and bigger, where the average ship used to have 600, 700, 800 passengers. Now it's 5,000, 6,000, 7,000, 8,000. And they keep, and if you read into the cruise industry news, they're looking to build them even bigger. Well, when you get 4 or 5 cruise ships in port and each have 5, 6,000 people, all of a sudden the locals in Venice are waking up to there's an additional 30,000 people in our town. How long are they staying? You know? So you've got that. That's the other part of this. It's actually causing part of the dilemma where Rome and Venice and places like this are overrun with tourists. And it's because of it's two things basically. The cruise ship industry dumping thousands, tens of thousands of people on their doorstep for a few hours. And then there's also social media. But the thing that I also uncovered was that people are not staying less or shorter visits when they go. They're staying longer. Why is that? Well, one reason is it costs so much to get over there. An extra $200 for a night on a hotel room is nothing compared to what it costs to get over there. Because for a lot of people, it's a once in a lifetime trip, meaning they're going to take that trip once. Like whatever you want to see over there and do, you better do it and see it in this trip because we're probably not coming back. And that tells me something. Italy and Rome, places like that, they're not attracting tourists. No. They are creating experiences that people do not want to leave. And that is a pretty incredible statistic. What have I always told you every single episode? We travel for the experience. Rome and Italy, Venice, all these places, they got the memo. They're like, all right, we got you. Now, Rome has something special happening. They got the Jubilee, which is millions of religious pilgrims, special ceremonies, historic events. Even the passing of Pope Francis brought visitors from around the world. That's not tourism. That's history happening in real time. Venice, well, Venice is trying something interesting. They're actually charging day visitors to enter. So imagine if your hometown said, hey, you can come visit, but it'll cost you. Some people hate it. Some people love it. But the strategy behind it is to save the city, because here's the truth. Venice was not built for millions of tourists. It's a literally floating city. It was built hundreds of years before anyone ever heard of Instagram. And let me tell you, being a floating city, literally, when you go to the airport, and we didn't really realize this until we started booking all of our inter-transportation modes for the whole trip, was that the hotel we're staying at in Venice after we disembarked from the ship, there's a faux pas. I told you I couldn't promise there wouldn't be a word salad. But when we disembark from the ship, we stay one night in Venice and then we head to the airport the next morning. Now, I have been transported to airports in many countries and all across the U.S., and I have taken some very questionable transportation modes to get to the airport. But I have never in my entire life taken a boat from my hotel door to the airport to the gate. Wow, that will be incredible to take a boat all the way to the airport from my hotel. I can honestly say I have never been anywhere that offered that, but that will be an experience that I will never forget. And I actually commented the other day that was one of the things that I was looking forward to most on this whole trip was the taking the boat from the hotel to the airport. And the sad part about that is that will be the end of the trip. So I'm actually excited about the end of the trip. I said, that doesn't make sense. But most of what goes through my brain, two brain cells, doesn't make sense. So there is that. All right, moving on. Speaking of Instagram, and we're not going to just talk about Instagram, we're going to talk about all of the social media, because social media deserves a huge part of the blame. Here's the problem I have, and I hope that there is someone out there that can dispel this really friction I have in my brain that I cannot fathom. Everybody wants the same picture. They want the bridge picture, the canal, the cafe, the exact picture that someone else posted. If you don't believe me, go to Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, I don't care which one, and just scroll through pictures of Rome or Venice, and you will see 2 million pictures of the exact same spot. Literally. The only thing that changes is the person in the photo and possibly the design or color of the selfie stick. Literally. Now, while that has humor tied to it, it's actually kind of sad because meanwhile, one street over, there is most likely a family-owned restaurant that serves the best meal you've ever eaten. And guess what? There's no crowds, and they're just waiting on someone to discover them. And that is usually where I wander to, because I have went through YouTube videos by the dozens, and every video is the same. You cannot come to Rome and not eat here. You cannot come to Venice and not eat here. And I look at the location that they're talking about, and guess where it's at? It's on the main drag. Oh, sure, a few of them are off on a side street. But what I do is I will take that location, pin it on Google Map, and then zoom in, and I guarantee you, every time I have found a little mom and pop right on the next street or the next alley, just sitting there, waiting to provide a meal experience that will stay with me for the end of time. That's what you have to do. We have to chase the memories and the miles. Do you see where I'm going with that phrase? Chase the memories in the miles. That's what it's all about. Here's something else I found fascinating. While Rome and Venice stay packed, places like Puglia, La Marche, Sardinia, they're all exploding in popularity because guess what? People still want Italy. They just don't necessarily want the crowds. Okay, now there's a side caveat to that statement because the crowd that is chasing the same Instagram photo, that's half the crowd. The crowd that wants to avoid the crowds and find the little places that are off to the beaten path that are not beat up with tourism, that's the other half of the crowd. And honestly, that sounds pretty appealing to me. So let's talk about something that nobody wants to talk about, but I think gets blown out of proportion. And that is pickpockets. Here's the thing. What do we always say? Beware of your surroundings. Be aware of your surroundings wherever you are, wherever you roam, wherever you travel. Be aware of your surroundings. Now think about being at home back in the States. You take your phone, you go out to eat, you set it on the table. You go to a baseball game, you set it on the bleacher beside you. You use whatever the case may be. We set our phone down 1,000 times a day and never think twice about it. But when you're in countries like Rome, Venice, France, Switzerland, Paris, all these different places, you have to be really aware because in just a blink of an eye, it can be gone. The pickpockets in Rome are so good, they could steal the sauce right off your spaghetti while you're eating it. So let that sink in. But they make it seem like they paint this picture of as soon as you step off of the plane, the train, the boat, whatever the case may be, there's a line of scam artists there waiting to take your passport, your phone, your luggage, probably your shoelaces. Is that reality? Not exactly. Millions upon millions of people visit Rome every single year, and the overwhelming majority have absolutely no problem. The risk is real, don't get me wrong, but the panic, that's usually exaggerated. And it almost makes me think that there must be a global convention for scam artists because they're peddling the same scams I've seen in Jamaica, same scams in Paris, same scams in Switzerland, wherever you go. And one of the scams that I see everywhere I travel is this. You get off a train, you get off some mode of transportation, and there's someone standing on the street corner and they have some little trinket. Now, whether it may be a crocheted cross or it may be a bracelet or whatever the case may be, and they want to give it to you. They're promoting peace, love, and harmony, and they just want to give this to you as a token of they're glad you're there. The oldest scam in the book, because let me tell you something. If you think the IRS can come squeeze you for money, you haven't even tipped the iceberg yet until you met these people. Because if you take that trinket, they're now going to confront you that you owe them some money for that trinket. And they will guilt you and they will hound you. They will, it's brutal. Like I said, you think the IRS can be bad? These people, they have a whole new collection system that if they worked for credit cards here in the States, there would be no unpaid credit card bills at all because people would pay them because they'd be scared. So just use your common sense. Nothing in this world is free. Just make sure that you use your common sense. I cannot say that enough. But that, it doesn't mean you shouldn't walk around looking like an ATM with legs. You have a crossbody, wear it in front, one hand on the zipper, especially when you're in crowded areas. Wallet, front pocket, phone, front pocket. Backpack, if you're in a crowd, same thing with a crossbody. Wear it on your chest. Yeah, you might look a little ridiculous, but hey, is that shirt that you got off of Amazon, does it make you look any less like a tourist? So there is that. But you'll also look like someone who's not about to become someone's retirement plan. Pickpockets don't want drama. They're not looking for a fight. They're looking for a distraction. Someone bumps into you. Someone unfolds a giant map. Someone wants you to sign something. Look, I don't even sign things at home. Makes you think I'm going to travel all the way to Italy and sign something. No. But some things, sometimes somebody thinks that you're their friend that they've been searching for since kindergarten. And meanwhile, their buddy is auditioning for Mission Impossible through your backpack. Here's my favorite advice. I'll give it to you in a couple little anecdotes. Remember when you're in Rome and you're eating pasta, there's serious math behind it. Carbs divided by calories equals la dolce vita, the sweet life. And in Venice, and when you're in Venice, the Venetian tapas, they're called cicchetti, which translates from Italian into English as, yes, you need a fourth snack before lunch. I love this place already. I will leave you with this final thought. When you're in Rome, do as the Romans do. When you're in Venice, whatever floats your gondola. So until I see you again next week, do not forget to caffeinate and conquer, even if it's with an espresso. That is very important. I'll see you again next week, right here behind this big old mic. Thank you for listening.